Hey everyone, we're back.
Oh, greetings and salutations. Now we sit here and wait for people to show up.
There's somebody.
Oh,
we can start.
There's somebody. There's somebody. There's somebody.
So what's up, gentlemen?
All right, there's 8 people. All right, guys. So welcome back to the Automotive Podcast. We are here tonight with the usual crew of James Tester and Sean Svensson. And tonight, very special guest down in the bottom right square on Hollywood Squares here. It is Lewis Hicks from the... Are you part of MAMA itself, the club?
I am. I'm also part of the Central Pennsylvania Model Car Club.
Okay, so Lewis is down from Maryland and belongs to, the Maryland area. Was it Maryland Area Modelers Association?
Automotive.
Automotive, yeah. And then, yes, I know some of the stuff you had the CPMCC banners underneath of it too. So cool. So we are here, guys, for another episode. We have June kits because we managed to not be able to pull that off last episode. A couple of oddball little new things here and there. And then, of course, we'll have an interview with Lewis, talk about his modeling style and his award-winning model from the NNL East. And, take a small second to be like, go ahead, find yourself another automotive modeling podcast that has 2 NNL award-winning builders on the same podcast. So, take that and smoke it. So already in the comments here, William Wagman saying, hello, Lewis, welcome to the big time. We missed you this weekend. So
welcome, Lewis.
Lewis has made the big time.
If you call this channel,
depending on which channel you're watching this on, it could be the smallest time you've ever seen. So, guys, what's been going on, Lewis? What's up in your little, I guess, your model sphere, your modeling world?
Really not too much. With us looking for a house right now, I've dialed back a lot. So instead of having 5 or 6 builds going like normal, I've got just a '69 Camaro convertible and a wide body Mustang going. So,
ooh,
nice wide body Mustang.
Yep,
71, I assume.
Yep, the Iceman kit.
Oh, okay,
nice.
Gotcha.
So that's popular right now. Several people build one of those.
Yep. I've seen several different people posting images of either projects in flight or things they've just recently completed. So yeah, excited to see what Lewis's your take on it.
It's not going to be anything fancy, I'll tell you that.
You say that. I've seen your paintwork.
That's one good thing I got going for me. So,
so speaking of paintwork, where'd you learn how to paint, Lewis?
So, in high school, I went to the Votech for auto body, and then from there, they do what's called a Skills USA competition, which has a regional, national, and international levels. Well, I made it to nationals and placed 7th, which placed me in line for say in line, but I actually ended up just getting a scholarship to go to a technical college.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I started painting because the body shop that I got a job at while I was in school was, you did everything from start to finish. You took the whole car through.
Oh, wow. So you were just sand guy.
Yeah. So I really didn't have a choice but to learn how to paint. And then, while I was away at college, I had stepped away from models. So when I got back into it, if I was pulling off good paint jobs on cars, I could do it on models. So
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So you sort of learned on the big scale stuff and then translated to small scale.
Yep.
This is unfair. This is cheating.
So here's the real question. Can you work a spray can?
I can.
Can you? Okay.
I prefer not to.
Right.
But there are times that, a quick build will get a spray can used, or honestly, interiors. I prefer the spray can, but. Okay.
Now, do you paint your models with a great big gun too, or?
No, I did a 1/12 57 with a full size gun, and that was it.
Okay. And that was able to atomize enough to get so that it wasn't a big blob of paint.
It was. I dialed back the needle on it some, so it wasn't just dumping the clear, but it was actually sprayed with rattle can black from, I think it was Dollar General, and then just cleared with Automotive clear. But it came out really good, actually. I don't even know whatever happened to it when I moved.
Huh.
Yep.
All right, Sean, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it's summertime, so yeah, I had to scale back a little bit of my model building efforts. We've got several different house projects going on, and I have other activities I do besides build model cars. One of them is musical theater. So I actually got cast in a role for the summer in a production of Bye Bye Birdie. So that's kind of sucking up a lot of my time learning the material and for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I knew you were in a band at one point, so, but theater as well. The multi-talented Sean Spencer.
And you're handy.
Yeah, and I am handy. Yeah, do a little DIY stuff around the house too. Yeah. So.
All right, Mr. Chester, what have we been up to lately?
I just finished that clear Mercedes 300 SL for the upscale hobbies build, and just got in the mail the new SP3 from PCY. So that's next project.
I am full of the jealousy.
That's I keep that one.
I am full of jealousy. I have one on the way, but like we were talking about earlier today, it's somewhere between here and there, and
yeah,
I don't have it yet.
You'll get it.
Oh, I know I will, but it's not.
But
fair.
yours will have instructions. Mine didn't. I have a pre-production version, so it doesn't have instructions. He sent me in PDF, so I get to zoom in on a tablet to look at the instructions.
Well, how much longer you would know, since you're the test guinea pig now for that company. How much longer before we get the next M4?
I think it's almost done. When Ben showed me pictures of the box today, so if the artwork's done, then it's got to be really close.
I would say, because really the only thing you were getting, different there was going to be the, decals in a few pieces.
Right. Yeah, I had a really good time building the first one. I'm really looking forward to the second one. I built the other one pretty fast, probably like 4 weeks. So I think the next one I want to do wiring and maybe jazz it up a little more.
That's an interesting question. I'd love to know what's an average length of time that it takes for you guys to build a model or to complete a model.
3 years. No, wait, that's just my laziness. If I probably clocked all the time I actually spent, it's probably to get a box stock, no extras, and not something that requires, a month's worth of decaling, like some of the projects that James and I like to play around with. It's probably 40 hours. It's probably, from box to finish, at least 40, maybe closer to 60. It all depends, is it a two-tone paint job? Is it this? Is it that? Is it a curbside Fujimi kit? Is it full detail? This, that, or the other thing? So trying to sort through this paint. This is a great idea because wow, all of a sudden I am high as a kite, guys. Hey.
The Mercedes that I just did, I didn't have to paint the body, so I finished that in actually like 2 weeks. But normally I'm about a month to 6 weeks.
How about you, Lewis?
That's pretty accurate for me too. Unless I'm under a deadline, like my blue lowrider, that was done in 2 months for the Iceman build off. So, but I mean, I had a week just in painting that car. So then, like my green 30 Model A, that was 2 weeks just because I had a club theme contest coming, and I wanted to make sure that I made the contest. So,
right.
And it's all over. My 1/16 dragster took me over a year to actually get done. So.
Wow. I'm probably around. I bet I'm around 30, and if I average the amount of time, I'm probably at like 30 to 50 hours, probably average per model. And I would say how long it takes me to complete that might be. It'll vary. Like and it seems like fall, Christmas, early winter time, I'll have more time to like devote on model building, and I bet I will turn something out in about a month. Every month I'll come maybe complete something. This type of year, it's like there's always outdoor things going on, and I'm always getting
Yeah.
sucked into other things, and it seems like I really don't get much done during the summertime.
Frank in the comments saying that he knows that I'm shaking paint, but it doesn't look like I'm shaking paint. I know. I thought about that as I know, Frank. I know. I thought about it as I was doing it. I was like, the only way this is gonna get done is to just go ahead and do it and pretend like I'm not. So yeah, on my end,
Well,
I've taken the leap to order some paint from England. For a lot of folks who follow a lot of the YouTube stuff, Paul Bretlin, who runs International Scale Modeler, has started a paint company called Pro Scale Paints. And yeah, like we need another color match, car paint option out there with splash and gravity and MCW and scale finishes and all that stuff. But the one neat thing that Paul does is if you can find him the paint code, and I know Splash will do this too, but Splash, if you ask them to match you a paint code, you got to pay 15 whatever, and you get this giant container of paint, right? It's like 60 mil. It's 4 cars of paint, and what are you going to do with four cars worth of Toyota blue? I guess you're painting 4 blue Toyotas, obviously, but you're not going to paint them all in rapid succession like that. So this all got started because Paul will color match your paint, and he sends you just like a 30 mil regular paint bottle full of it, and doesn't upcharge you for it. So it's only $6, which is what the regular paint there costs. And this all got started because Mr. Chester over there was building his clear Mercedes 300 SL, and he was asking me, what was it? You thought they came in like white, silver, red, and black. Like you had a very limited color palette of what the 300 SL was. And the 300 SL, in reality, the coupe didn't get painted in a whole heck of a lot of colors because that didn't exist as long as the convertible did, but it's a luxury car, and you can get painted on almost nearly anything. And so when I went looking around, I found a image, which I probably should have saved so you can see the real picture, but I'm not that smart and think far ahead enough. But I found this blue color that is known as Mercedes Medium Blue Metallic, which I'm not sure how well this is going to actually show up on camera. No, not really. But you get the idea. You get the idea of the hue, though. And it's a very, very greenish blue color. So I grabbed that. I grabbed this a silver for the Audi that I need to get back to working on because they actually asked me if I was bringing it to Madison or not. And then I really wish I could show you this one. It's Ferrari Daytona Narrow Metallic. It's like a black, but it's metallic green color flip to it.
Ooh,
this is pretty fancy. If I could show took pictures of it. But at any rate, that's been what I've been doing. I've been working with him trying to get colors matched, and I have another batch on the way. Has some paint for James in it because he decided he wanted to test the stuff out, and so
a new fascination.
Yeah, a new paint line to fiddle around with. I painted a spoon with the silver, and I mean it paints like that's always one of the things it's pre-mixed paint. Is it though? But it went through the gun real quick. So
who makes that paint again?
It's called Pro Scale Paints. I think it's proscalepaints.uk, or we just look for Pro Scale Paints and it'll Google up. And he's got, I don't know, 300-400 colors of paint. Like everybody asked him, like he came up and he came up and said, hey, if you want to have a color, let me know and I'll match it. And so when he matches the color, he just puts it on the website. So you can buy this blue just off the shelf now, because once it's mixed, he has the actual computer and stuff to mix the paint that'll to give the whole ratios and everything, and he's actually the one making the paint itself. So yeah, it's a pretty much anything if he doesn't have it, which I know now I should put a sponsored tag on the bottom of the video. But yeah, that's been trying to get a few things for a couple of upcoming projects, and like I said, the NNL the IPMS guy
James,
Ooh.
that's not good.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost him.
Oh, I'm here. That's fun because I lost everybody else, but I was still talking. But yeah, I should do more than like bring him the primer chassis. So
We're proud of you, James. You primer
Yeah.
the chassis.
I know. I wanted to test that silver out because obviously I'll 2K the body. I'll fall off that limb and take that leap of 2King, but it's a unibody car, so like the chassis and the interior need to be painted, but they don't need to be 2K shiny. Like what's it look like underneath just lacquer, clear coat, so that it's because that stuff does dry like dead flat, and that's too flat for what it looked like in real life. So
Okay.
I've been fiddling with spoons. But hey, at least I actually got the airbrush out and like did something. So gentlemen. So being that it's the first of the month podcast here, it is that time to go with if you bought anything. So Mr. Tester, have you purchased anything?
Yeah, actually, I bought the Alpha Model SP2 Ferrari to go with the SP3. I won't show it. You guys know what it looks like. And Mr. Duff, I met him in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago, and I finally got my little Honda F660. So I'm happy. I got 2 new resin kits, and I'm happy.
Hey guys, I'll be right back. It looks like my breaker just blew.
Oh, okay. So you lost all your lights back there, I noticed.
Technical difficulties.
So I heard a vacuum going back there. So
yeah,
it's been one too many swipes.
I have not
And
bought.
there he goes.
I haven't bought anything. Not a thing. Not a single thing.
Not even a paint or nothing?
I have not. No, I have not done anything. Last thing I bought was at the NNL. I really haven't touched models much at all since I came back from it. I have several different box art projects that I'm kind of working on. So I've been kind of, in the background, kind of trying to get some work done on that. But
right.
Yeah.
Did you finish the wrecker?
The wrecker's finished.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to take pictures of it, and but I need to take pictures of it and post it on my various social media sites. But I've taken photographs of it, or I need to take photographs of it for the box art. But I've been working on a box art illustration and working on the decals, and we just sent off the I think we got final approval for all the Mobius Dodge sedans. So I did the decals for that, the instructions, and I've seen the final box art, and I believe that FCA finally signed off on everything. So that work's been shipped. So, fingers crossed. I think, you'll see
maybe by end of the year.
Maybe.
Still no power at your house, huh, Lewis?
It looks like the whole neighborhood's out, so is what it is.
Oh.
What do you got? You got nothing better to do, right?
I
Exactly.
appreciate the fact that he's on a phone, so this doesn't affect his internet connection at all.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it.
But your internet connection
That
sucks,
model
James.
contest. Yeah, I know.
Did everybody freeze? No.
Lewis is still with us. Of course, he may need to use his phone to call 911, I think.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Call the power company, right?
Yeah.
Nah, they'll get to it. Yeah, that hasn't happened in a long time.
All right, let's see. All right.
The last time power went out here, it was out for 2 days.
Well, that was your winter storm, wasn't it?
Yes.
We're like kind of.
I'm sorry, James. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I just thinking like it's a storm. Looking at my radar, it's a stormy out here, but no, it's not. So anyway, James and I went to that model contest that model show, and I picked up the Dodge 330. This sort of just replaces one of the old Ollie's specials that I picked up a while back. It got new decals, and there's just gauge decals and stuff in it, which the original one didn't have.
Yeah,
right.
I did that box art, by the way.
Yeah, I figured it looked awful familiar. That was gonna be I was gonna ask, is this yours? But I forgot. And then I picked up the 67 GTX. Man, I got all the glare in the world there, but yeah. So this again, just I had one of the original 90s kits, and it was like roasted and toasted inside, and so grabbed a new one of those. And then Mr. Tester knows the sojourn of this because I think I guilt tripped him into buying one. I got the Alpha Models Gazoo Racing Corolla kit. Hey, Liz's lights came back on.
Right now.
I'm so jealous of that. I want that.
Let there be light. Yeah, that Corolla is cool. I would buy one of those.
And the reason why James knows about this is because I went through a friend of mine in Canada who got me the Audi A6 wagon. And then I said, can you find me a Corolla? Because Alpha's out of them. I was watching some at B&A World in Australia. They ran out of them. Then now, of course, once like a couple places lose them, everybody goes on a buying frenzy apparently, and they're never available anywhere after that. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll find you one. And so he gives me a tracking number for one, and it's coming out of China. Okay, cool, whatever. I don't care where it comes from, as long as it gets here. And this guy in China mailed it to the United States in a padded mailing envelope. No box, just a padded mailing envelope. And so what I got was this bent to hell and back box, which amazingly, after doing the inventory on it, the only thing that broke in here was one of the turn signal stalks off the steering column. So I lucked out, and so did they, because they didn't have to refund the money I paid for it, because I paid a little bit more than it would have cost new. And that's my acquisitions for the last month. One slightly mushed Corolla and a couple of Mopar. Lewis, now you have lights on, you can see what you bought. What did you buy lately? Or have you bought anything lately, I guess I should say.
Oh boy, I wasn't prepared for that.
You don't have to show. You can just
I got a 79, another 79 Camaro kit. I think I have like 6 of them now. The Rebel Street Burner kit, 16 GT3 RS. I've been looking for that since Acme of 2022, and finally a guy in Israel actually had one that shipped it off to me. So that got here, I think, Saturday. But that's about it for me here right now.
You said the Alpha Model GT3 RS? Yeah, that's a nice kit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
that's a hard one to find.
Yeah.
That's been out of print for a little while.
I ended up with I wanted the 992 from Alpha, but couldn't get my hands on one of them, and I found the PZY version. A guy in I think like the UK had it. And there's a shop over there. He had like 3 left, so I jumped on one of them.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have got the resin bug. But
yeah, I was having him thank me earlier because I have been buying Alpha stuff for a while, and then I kept saying, you got to get some of this. You got to get some of this. And now he's
like, I'm not spending $100 for a model kit, blah, 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 blah. And then I started doing work for Alpha, got 2 kits, and I was like, oh, these aren't so bad. And then I got a 3rd one, and then I got a 4th one from them. And then I was like, might as well just buy them.
So you guys are inspiring me too, because I've never paid any attention to those kits either. And now that I've looked at and watched you build a couple of them, I'm like, man, these are pretty nice.
Yeah, they are. And I think it appeals to our hoard nature to, when they come out with them, there are only 100 or 150 of them ever made, and most of the time they don't re-release them. So you gotta buy them as soon as they come out, and that sucks for me, because I'm like, should I buy it? Yeah.
And they've got that very interesting tendency. Like that Corolla was one where it existed for like forever. Like they seemed like they couldn't sell them or couldn't get rid of them, and then over the span of a couple of weeks, they sold out. They sold out, and then once they sold out, then they just went, everywhere. So I mean, I've been trying now I finally secured it allegedly. We'll see. But it took me about a part 2.5 weeks fighting with the people at Alpha trying to get the new AMG kit that they released because they sold out of that before they shipped them. So they're making another batch. We'll see how many that is exactly. As long as I get one, I don't care if anybody else does. That's just me.
That's
Well,
I
the thing was,
tried
like,
ordering 992 from Upscale, and they're like, yeah, we got them. They're coming. All that. So I ordered that and the Veilside RX-7. Well, they got their shipment in, and the 992s were not there. And Alpha said they weren't reproducing. So I ended up with the F90 Ferrari and the Veilside RX-7. Okay. And then on the Hunt, I went 992.
It is the unobtainium hunt of trying to find some of these. It's like there's the 911 Carrera and the 992 RS, because I have the PZY RS or the GT3. I have the PZY GT3 RS, but those two 992 Porsches, they're gone. You'll never find one. And I've asked everybody I can think of if they have one, and everybody's like, nope, don't know anything about that. And the guys over there are like, well, there's not enough interest in them. I'm like, I think if you surveyed, you'd find that you could do a run of 25 and sell them all and not have to worry about having anything left over. But I don't know what their minimums are on getting their PE made and their decals printed and all that stuff.
Probably 100.
Probably, but I think they could probably. Here's a side conversation I didn't even see coming. If they're going to do 100-piece things or 200-piece things, because if they're going to send them out to vendors and have their direct sales, and they want that company, just that division of the company, to be more popular than it already is, that count's going to have to go up. They can't just release 100 pieces of something to an increasingly larger audience and assume that fistfights in the parking lot aren't going to take place, because they said on there, we have 15 of these left, and I contacted the guy that I know there, and I said, get me one. He's like, we're out. I'm like, what do you mean you're out? You just posted this morning. He said you have 15. I'm like, well, we sold them all, so I'll let you know when we get them back in. I'll let you know when we got them back in. Well, I mean, when PZY did the Lamborghinis, I mean, we both ordered one the day they released, and they were half gone 4 hours into the morning. So yeah, I believe it.
There's something crazy. It's like the harder it is to get something, the more you want it. I don't know why that is.
Yes.
That is a rule of life. The thing you want most, the thing you can't have.
Yeah, and you don't want it until all of a sudden you can't have it. And you're like, damn, I wish I bought that. I really want it now. At all the time in the world, you could have done something.
Yeah.
Well, it's very easy to do I'll pick it up later, and then later doesn't ever happen, because that's what the Corolla. Like, I have the Yaris, the GR Yaris, the PZY did as their first kit. That'll be interesting to see what that ends up being, because that's pretty rough around the edges. And then Tamiya did the GR86 GT, whatever the heck you want to call that's the little BRZ boxer twin. And then of course there's the Supra that's a GR. Well, this Corolla became the thing I needed for a little four Gazoo racing collection there. And guess what? They don't make those anymore. We can't find any. 18 of them sitting on the website forever, and then all of a sudden they're gone. So it is what it is, I guess. So Sean was just mentioning these, and I actually happen to have the box art for them, and they are the upcoming Mobius kits. I believe, from what I understand, looking at Model Roundup, that this is actually supposed to be the first thing that's going to actually show up, and it's supposed to come out in July. So maybe
that's the Mercury one, yeah.
Right. So this is the Canuckia version of the Ford pickup truck. I know our friends up north of the border there are going to be just absolutely beside themselves thrilled with it. I did see somebody ask why they didn't do this in a short bed, and I pointed out that the grill, the hood, and the tailgate, and along the fender badging are the things that are different. And if you really want a short bed bad enough, you're gonna kit bash it.
Yep.
Like who doesn't have 82 of these Ford trucks at this point? There's just some extra parts, but that's cool. I like the idea. I believe I've talked to a bunch of different people now that have been, in the hobby forever, and we've all come to the conclusion that this is the literal first Canadian model, the kit that's ever been made of a vehicle that's specifically sold up there. So cool. And then we've seen that one before because Mr. Svensson has shown that off, the ultra wheelbase Dave Strickler car. And then now we're going to have the A990 super stock version of the 65 Dodge.
Parked in a rickety garage.
Parked,
right?
say parked outside of a little rickety garage area action there. And then the Coronet sedan with the different stock front grille there with the 4 headlights. So,
yeah, I believe the Coronet sedan has a different engine in it too. It does not get the Hemi; it gets the wedge motor, 426 wedge.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna.
And it won't.
They're gonna flow after the Plymouth.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with either of those box art on those two stands, but I did do the decals for both of those.
Okay.
They're similar. The A990 has obviously the engine decals that are correct for the 426 Hemi car, and it's got a few little extra kind of tidbits in it.
Okay.
Oh, Sean, Easter eggs. Yes.
Got a picture of it, Sean?
Not handy. Not handy. Yeah. One of the cool things I did find, I put a fun little bit in the A990 car. So online, I'd found a restored car, and it had, I don't know if it was replica or it was original. I guess there was a license plate that was like Chrysler Engineering. It was probably a paper promotional thing that they either came on the cars or it was, a dealer promotional thing. So I thought it was really cool, and I duplicated that artwork and put it in the decal sheet. So fun little.
That's cool.
Mopar guys will probably appreciate that.
Very, very cool. So yesterday morning, I guess it would have been technically this morning, Hasegawa announced their next variation of a new project they're doing for the Nissan Silvia. I need to find the other pictures, but I need Sean's support of the malaise goodness of this car, because I showed it to James earlier and he was like, "Nah, I don't think so." Not the one I'm about to show you, but the test shots of the Silvia. He was all like, "Eh," and I'm like, "Nah, I know Sean would appreciate that." So what they're going to be offering up next in that line, and this is, to me, is cool because it's you don't see too many model kits of homologated road cars done, and that is going to be a Nissan 240 RS. And this was the road-going equivalent of the rally car. And so what you're going to get there is like a new body and all the bits and pieces to go along with that, obviously. But they only made 200 of these things in real life. There were 240 horse advertised horsepower, so they're probably more than that with the whole Japanese gentleman agreements about displacement and all that stuff. And this thing was caged from the factory. It was, everything's lightweight on it. All you had to do was throw rally numbers on it, and you could go rallying with it. I think it's cool because, again, we've gotten a whole bunch of race cars from various stuff over the course of the last couple of years, but we haven't gotten the actual road going car. It'd be really, really cool if we could get a road going Lancia 037 instead of all the rally kits that Hasegawa's done. Because they did make streetcar versions of that thing, so that's fun. I like that because I saw the initial image of it, and I was like, oh god, they're making the rally car, something that New already did, just what we need. And it's like, no, it's the streetcar version. I'm like, oh, that's different. For anybody who wants to know what that actually looks like in real life, the real car would look like this. So it actually is missing the grille in real life. So it's not just a design feature of the CAD. So yeah, it's boxy, it's awful, it's 1983. But hey, the steering wheel is on the correct side of the car, guys, because these were made for rallies. So those most of the time had your driver on the driver's side of a. But that's the Enki racing wheels. It's very interestingly, Hasegawa has made the top of the engine. Because you can see down through pointing at the screen like you could see it. You can see through these louvers on the car. So they've made like the cam cover and the top of the water pump and stuff like that, so you can see the top of the engine through it, which is an amusing turn of events. But at the same time, it's like just put the engine in it and be done with it. But it's very easy to spend Mr. Hasegawa's money, I suppose.
That's asking.
Sorry, guys, that does nothing for me.
I had no idea that car even existed. I'd never seen it before. I didn't know anything about it until you showed me the picture today, and I was like, "Oh, it's so weird. I kind of like it. It's got that box 80s generic, it looks like sort of like if I had asked AI to make like an 80s Mustang, it might have made something like that.
It's cool for its era. There's always those certain cars that you would never think to see, and then you find them and they're like, all right, well, it's ugly but cool for 1983.
Right.
Let's say 240 on a lightweight car, and 83 of that thing was a rocket ship, really.
Yeah. Those cars were light. I mean, they didn't, especially that one. Probably pretty impressive.
Yeah, though I agree with you. It is going to chat GPT and being like, give me an 82 Mustang 2 with over fenders. There you go. How about that? All right, Lewis, feel free to contribute your opinions as we go through these, but we got to go through the June kits here real quick, and then we'll get to putting you on the hot seat for finding out all you here. But we'll pause after each little introduction here, and you can yay, nay, or roll your eyes, which will be a lot of what you see on the top left screen there. A lot of
James Rose on us again.
Volkswagen minivan with graphics on it. It is the and following along with Hasegawa's, we got to put as many words on the box as possible motif. This is the a Timmy Boken series Yatter Manny Volkswagen Type 2 delivery van Borenbo. Okay, this. I'm sure this is one of these things where like it's a cartoon in Japan that's super popular and like they'll sell like a jillion of these, but like otherwise, holy moly!
Can you zoom in on that? It looks as though to the right a little bit. Is that a rocket? What is coming out of his tail end there?
I think it's it appears to be some sort of exhaust system for this 3-person bicycle that they're rocking and rolling. I do appreciate that neither one of these guys are wearing tops that fit though, because we got a little skin here and here. And then is she wearing pants? I'm not sure, but yeah.
Good stuff.
That was too
and that's
far.
A children's cartoon.
Oh, okay. I see. She's got thigh highs and like a spandex onesie on. That's what that's showing.
Perfect for riding bikes. Good.
So yeah, I again, I'm sure that means something to somebody, and I do appreciate every time they one of these. It's a palette for our decals paint scheme things, but I don't. But yeah, there it is. Fujimi is going to be repackaging their Nissan. This would be a SIL 80 because it's a S13 front end bolted onto a 180 SX back end. This has the new easy alignment system chassis, so for the first time in forever, it's not going to have the generic Nissan chassis that are underneath a bunch of these things. And you get the whole shtick where the wheels not only turn, they also go side to side and front to back, so they got camber as well as wheel height on them. It's not a bad kit as far as the SIL 80 goes. It was done in the 2000s era, so it's a halfway decent kit. It's a bucket interior and that, but it's okay. It's probably I think it's the only SIL 80 technically on the market. So if you're into that whole concept of a car, there's a guy who lives probably about 20 miles away from here, has a collection of JDM, and he has a Sil 80 that he made himself by importing the front end of a Sylvia here.
Wow.
So that's kind of fun, but is what it is otherwise. It's one of the things, like Fujimi's stuff sometimes is toy like, and having a car that you can action pose really doesn't help that sales pitch at all. So that's an option. Continuing with the Fujimi goodness, you have this, which is a Suzuki Alto. This kit, as it exists, is a snap tight kit. Let's see if I can zoom. Well, I guess I can't zoom in on this, and I bet you this will crash my screen because I kept crashing it in practice. But at any rate, this is a Super Takio, the endurance series that is very much factory based. This is a real car. It's one of those Japanese things. Yeah, I mean, it does have a roll cage. Let's say it does have a roll cage. This really was a real car. It is like 9 and 10 on it, so it is both team cars. So if you could do the research to figure out, like in 1980, whatever this was when this ran, if it did any good. But yeah, there's that.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it did. It crashed my share. I thought it would. Every time I tried to go through these to think about what I was going to say about them, that would just sit there and be like, nope, you can't go past that picture. I don't know what about that picture doesn't like. But anyway, so back to Fujimi still. They're reissuing this is an R31 Nissan Skyline GTSR. It's the race car, obviously, in the Rico livery. I do appreciate whatever cartoon neat Ford Sierra this is supposed to be in the background, because that's what this is. This is an RS 300 or 500 back here. Yeah, okay, sure it is. And as we were showing in our little pre-show meeting, this god-awful assemblage of parts that's being put in this box, because these wheels are they're very clearly not these wheels at all by any stretch of the imagination. There's no roll cage in it except for the little 2-pointer that goes in the hoop. A hoop and some stanchions. You've got a luxury interior. You've got a sporty interior. Yeah. Awesome.
That chassis though.
Woo. Oh yeah, this thing with this actually still has the slider in it to turn it on and off, and
catalytic converter. That's what you need in your race car.
Yeah, so it got a whole full exhaust system here, and then over here on this tree, you still got the battery case and the motor carriage for it. So, if
awesome.
these are like the regular Fujimi kits, you'll have to put these in the kit in order to hold the suspension together. So that's always an awesome part of this too. And there's also 2 street exhausts, this one and this one. So like, there's no side exit exhaust system for this. And then you've got that, my personal favorite, the tongue depressor steering component thing here, where it's just a paint stirrer with 2 holes in the end of it,
and it's ribbed.
It's ribbed for your pleasure, exactly. For anybody who doesn't keep track, Hasegawa makes the exact same thing in their R31 lineup. There's literally no excuse to buy this whatsoever, but for people who are brave, I guess that's coming out. And then, speaking of things to build if you're brave and a Fujimi fan, you have this Toyota Crown Royal Saloon. This would have been like an 88 or 87, I believe. And I mean, it's got this jazzy antenna thing going on here. We're getting Radio Free America from the Philippines with this antenna, I'm guessing.
Looks like you're jousting.
Yeah, and I will draw your attention to this thing here, because I know that Tester knows what this means, this ribbed side stuff. I say, okay, cool. It's a very 80s piece, right? This is 80s aero. It's 80s. Everything's 80s. And then you get into the parts breakdown, which, yeah, folks, it does have that exact same chassis, just in a different color. So pay no attention to the difference between a 2-door and a 4-door. But these wheels
Yeah,
are they're not the same wheels.
Yeah, the other ones were 3 spokes.
These are 3 spokes, exactly. These are technically 6 spokes, because they're 3-spoke twists, and then the actual wheels that are coming this are 4-spoke Ranger Splash wheels. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could advertise something and then not even have the right wheels in the box. And here's your chewing gum here to make your high society door finish. So that makes another comeback this month. And yeah, like the last one, here's the carriage for the engine, the battery box, and I so badly wish, and I mean this is a serious, sincere thing. Anybody who knows me knows I collect 4-door Toyotas. I have a whole collection of Lexuses and Crowns and everything like that. That's another like lifetime achievement award project would build all of those 4-door Toyotas. I would so badly love to have a good, decent 80s Crown because Aoshima's is motorized too. This, I don't understand who buys these things from Fujimi, but
I think they're probably like $10 in Japan. So
probably they gotta be. But anyway, moving on. Hasegawa is releasing the 1993 naturally aspirated version of their 300ZX, new NA front bumper, and the new rear end, new headlights, new spoiler. I believe this is going to be molded in a dark green, so yay painting. And yeah, I mean, I'm for that one because it'll be the first honest to God late spec 300ZX that ever has existed out of the Z32. So
I like how you say it's got the naturally aspirated engine bumper.
Well, there's no actual engine in this, so this bumper is specific to the non-turbo cars, so that is what that qualifies as. I don't know any other way to describe that. I mean, that's literally, if you translate it, this is what this right here says. It has front bumper of naturally aspirated type. So yeah, it's a naturally aspirated front bumper.
Maybe they'll put that on the box. Has bumper of naturally aspirated motor type.
I don't make the flyers. I just read them. Okay, so more anime goodness out of Hasegawa. This ties into the 40th anniversary of the Yokoshira Megadoc Animation Festival here. This is the 1600 Celica that you would get out of Hasegawa under any other normal circumstances, except with the apparent rookie driver symbol on the roof. Does have new 3D printed side mirrors, so that kind of a little bit matches the cartoon. So 3D again, Hasegawa 3D printing in a commercial kit. Always appreciate that. I can't, unless you really, really want these mirrors. There's no real reason to buy this unless you're really, really into the animation. 1991 Japanese Touring Car Championship, Wed Sport Levin. You guys know that anybody who watches anything on my channel knows that I've already pre-ordered this like the instant it hit because yay, more JTC car. Lime yellow wheels. Who doesn't love that? And yeah, I enjoy those kits. So that's all I have to say about that. This is the reissue of the 73 GTR that is going to come with PE scripts and whatnot. So we got an actual like picture here showing the nice raised lettering you get with the PE. Oh,
and a badly applied decal on the back. How you like that?
Yeah. This almost looks like they took this. I don't know if this is going to be individual letters on the PE, but it looks like they stuck the individual letters on like a piece of clear Scotch tape and then stuck it back here so they didn't lose anything. I mean, I'm Sean can appreciate this. Hey, it's a pre-production model and we need it in a week, so do what you can with it.
Right.
But this is going to have obviously again a bunch of PE. They're pointing at the license plates because the license plates are going to have aluminum license plate backs. And into the interior because there's going to be some interior PE. I don't know if that's necessarily enough to sell one, although it probably will be enough for me to sell one.
You're going to buy it, James.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not I'm a huge PE guy, I guess, when it comes down to it. But the PE that I use is stuff like that, scripts. It's going to make the car, it's going to make the overall model look better, and so I'm willing to pony up for that. We finally got the sculpt here on the Isuzu 117 with the Cool Beauty Girls. So she is happy to see you and sashaying into the mall to spend your money. 124 scale resin figure, resin girl, all the things, and you get the model as well. I like the 117. I think it's a fun car just because of how amazingly ugly the late model version of this car got turned into. Like the early version is a pretty nice looking Pininfarina style car. we came across safety standards that required these bumpers and these headlights, and it just ruined the whole front end of that car to me. But yeah. She's here for your enjoyment. The reissue of the Isuzu Bellet, backdated to 1968. And apparently that's going to
something about that car, man. It just doesn't. No.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
Very oddly proportioned. It's got sort of a Ford Falcon kind of esque look, but kind of
Wait, hold on. William says, "I can see that Pro Street." There we go.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna show this. That apparently also stopped my photo share. That was Lewis. You said you liked that, right? That's what I heard. Yeah. Yep. So for Lewis's edification, I'm gonna show you the. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. No, apparently I won't. Yeah. Well, apparently that crashed the photo share. That's cool. That's awesome. I didn't need that.
That's awesome.
But anyway, that's gonna get a new front and rear clips, new valances, and all that stuff, because they've done the earlier version, which of course I don't actually have. No, I do. I lied. I have it.
He's got it.
Well, it's a question of whether I had it nearby. They've done the earlier version of the Bellet with the twin front headlights. It is, I will admit, it's a lump of a car. Like it's like somebody took the thing away with it and pushed two ends in and the roof went up. But compared to the original Fujimi kits of those, the Hasegawa one's awesome. And so
I'm sure
I'm not gonna complain about that too hard. Let me see if I can get the photo share to work on something else, or are we done with photo sharing? Which would be like totally awesome because we haven't shown any of Lewis's stuff yet. Nope, it's gonna let me share. So here's a colorized version of the sexy cool girl. She's even more happy to see you before she sachets off and spends your paycheck. I mean, at least she's like, is this European? She's not Japanese or Asian.
Yeah, she's not Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So that's nice to see a non-Asian figure out of a Japanese model company. And then the domestic stuff, we have a reissue of the MPC 53 Ford step-side flip nose. I'll wait here while this is assaulted.
I'm gonna go mute. Yeah.
I don't.
Not for me. No, I don't need it.
But it's got painted tires and slicks. It's got expanded decal sheet with colorful options.
No.
I built this one in the 90s when it was done in that aqua box art for the AMT Ertl boxing. And I will piss off everyone in the comments section over the age of like 55 here when I say this is one of the unmitigatedly worst models that MPC ever made. There's no way to make that flip nose functional without like actually making like metal parts for it. That is not a thing that works in real life in plastic.
The last one I did, I glued it shut and opened the hood itself.
Like this, and when you look at this, you go, okay, what's an old MPC kit? If Scalemates is anything resembling correctly, this kit was tooled in 1974. Like, it's a lot newer than you would think it'd be for as junk as it is. Like,
right.
Moving back into the informational side, it was last out in like 2003, so it's been 21 years since this kit has been offered, which has probably been a blessing.
That's probably why. That's why.
A blessing for the modeling community in general, but yeah, it is. This is the original box art, so yay for that.
Yeah, sorry, Steve, I can't do it.
And then the other kit coming out of round 2 this month is the 64 Chevelle Malibu SS. I believe we have famous people on board who've designed box art for this. Could be wrong, but I know I'm not. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. This will be a fun little quick build, curbside.
Yeah.
It destroys a whole bunch of kit value because original ones of these are going for crazy money, and this one will go for $30. And And much like the GTOs and all the rest of them, it's, you know, a canvas to do your best work with, because obviously there's the ability to put an engine in it. Nothing comes with it, and you can do whatever you want to with it. It's very, very, very low parts count. Can build it in a weekend if you can paint and clear that fast and slap it together, and otherwise you can make whatever you want to out of it.
You know, when they're in the display case, you can't tell if there's an engine or not. It's going to look perfect.
Yep.
Right there in my case.
That's how I build 90% of all my models. So yeah, I'm excited. I will get several of these.
Well, so I'll grab one. I'll grab one just because it'll look great on the shelf beside the original 65 Chevelle Z16 that I've had since it came out, that I've never built. So it'll be good.
Lewis, you buying that?
Yeah, I will. But mine's a different reason. That's I want to prove to all the older guys that are bitching about it not having an engine that, you know, us younger generation can't afford the original kit. So I'm going to build it and do my best with it and prove that you can make it into a very nice build.
There you go.
I like
there
this
you go.
We could just put that on a loop and make a T-shirt out of that. Last three things here, real quick. So over SJR, the Salvinos folks, you get a beer sponsor in modern day. Never thought that life of me I'd see this. So Ross Chastain's Busch Light car. There will be a thing on in here. You notice you have to be 21 years or older to buy this model compared to the 18 that you normally have to be to buy one of the things. That legitimately is a legal thing. You had to throw that on there. But yeah, it's a cool livery. It'll be a wrap, obviously, because of the way the livery is printed on there. You get Kyle Larson's Valvoline car. This is a shtick now. I think this is the fourth or third Kyle Larson Valvoline car, which is where every year we're going to get this, I guess. Yay. This one's the least offensive of the last several years. And then something that's actually pretty cool. I like this. This gets me in my childhood feels, because this would have been, I've been 10 when this was going on. This would have been right in my prime NASCAR watching time, personally. So it's the old monogram kit as far as the origins here, but it's Davey Allison's car. It's, to me, like I said, I watched this. This is Davey Allison. This is Dale Earnhardt. This is that era of NASCAR to me, and so I'll be happy to compared to some of the crap that they've thrown out in the vintage kit collection that I sell as soon as I get it. This will be one I'll keep.
Why do you have to be 18 to have that one?
They just put 18 or older on there. It's the whole, this is not a toy thing that gets put on a lot of model kits. So, but they had to put the 21 or older on the beer one.
Could you imagine being 16 and say, damn, I can't wait. Can't wait till I turn 18.
Is there really a hobby store that's like, I'm sorry, you can't buy that?
You got an ID?
Yeah.
I'm sure one.
Probably.
I was looking at the comments there. Craig from Craig's Corner saying never noticed the 21 or older thing. It's only ever been on the one. I don't think it was on the earlier kits. Yeah, because I'm sitting here looking. I've got the Busch Junior Johnson cars, and they say 18 or older. So
okay.
I think that's because at the time in those older cars you're licensing the driver, not the actual team, and in modern era they're like, hey, wait, kids might pick that up and start drinking cow piss light.
Bad beer, right?
I was gonna say it's not a fine bourbon, guys. Calm down. So yeah, there's your June kits that we know about. So yay. Let's see some of Lewis's work.
Oh boy.
Some of Lewis's work. All right, so Mr. Lewis Hicks, our special guest this episode. We met him. Well, I didn't meet him, but he was at NNL East. And part of NNL East, we put out business cards that said, if we like your model, we'd like to talk to you. Lewis was good enough that he actually contacted me back. I heard from several people, so it's not like
that one guy. What do you want to know?
Yeah, exactly. But I say Lewis was right on it. He was one of the first people that got back to me about that. And so at the NNL East, I'm mumbling because I'm trying to find a picture. He had this hot rod on display. And this, Lewis, why don't you just tell me what I'm looking at here? I know there's a whole bunch of 3D printed parts and stuff involved here, so go ahead and describe your build.
So that was the new release of the Revell 30 Model A. That was our December club theme contest, and I had a Jimmy Flintstone chopped body for it. Meanwhile, test fitting it, I ended up cracking it, and it became wall art at that point. But so I decided to take the kit body. That was my first attempt at chopping a top. From there, it got the Iceman Collections flathead, and then 3D scale parts, wheels, tires, and exhaust manifolds. Everything else is out of the box. Just bent up the fuel lines to make them as clean as I possibly could, and then it was painted with nail polish, and that build was done in 2.5 weeks, I think it was.
Wow.
Wow.
That's so nice.
It's amazing. What inspired you to build?
So with the club theme, I try to always take part in it just because it's, in my opinion, what keeps the club going is, our themes to get everyone building a certain thing. But hot rods weren't ever like a subject that I was big on. Like, I appreciate the real ones, but building them wasn't ever my thing. So when the theme came up, I started researching, Model A's, and I was like, well, everyone's going to build, the ragged out looking hot rod, the post-war hot rod, I should say. And I found one that was a close green. It was a little lighter, a little more pale. But when I saw it, I was like, all right, well, I'll go with green, but I'm not putting a small block Chevy or anything like that in it. It's got to have a flathead. So from there, spiraled into what you guys see.
And I think and learning a little bit more about the backstory of it, it entertains me even more about the fact that this, in a show, again, we poked a little fun at Sean about this when his Bronco won the Bronco theme, is the fact that in a show that doesn't give out awards, Lewis picked up best hot rod theme with this build.
Yep. Talk about unexpected. That I was standing there talking to my buddy Chris, and I'm looking at the screen, and they flashed the picture before they actually announced it. And I went, holy shit.
Awesome.
I was talking to James. I was talking to a couple other people, and we were like diagonally across the thing. I was telling Lewis this the other day, and I saw it flash up on the screen, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I saw that. I remember looking at that, and then I came home and I was editing the pictures, and I went, "Wait a minute! I think that's the actual car that won." So yeah, it's gonna be considering, like, again, it's a show that doesn't give out awards, so there's that aspect to it, but like there's a people there that are obviously models, 1,000 models plus on the table.
Right. All right. So Craig's Corner asked what paint was used. You said nail polish, but you didn't. Is it?
Yeah. If I remember right, it was like OPI on the go olive or something like that. So basically, it's an olive drab green. But
okay.
What intrigues me is there's somebody out there that wears nail polish in that color.
Yeah, could you imagine?
That's unusual, but it looks great on a model car.
I realized that after I've asked that question, I asked a whole question that nobody heard because I cut out there. NNL East being a show that doesn't give out awards and stuff like that, and there's literally hundreds of builders there, a lot of people that you would look up to in the community and all that sort of thing. It has to be like really gratifying to get an award. It's people's choice. Like the guys that are there, gave you that. It wasn't just like something that some guy who liked it checked a box and got you an award. That's gotta be really cool.
Yeah, it's honestly it's crazy because I went into NNL East honestly my first time there, and it by no means did I expect to win. Personally, I thought that Ryan Kaiser with that white and red 300 should have won. That car was gorgeous, but I mean, can't really
any given Saturday.
like I try to tell everyone, I don't get to like
Right.
but yeah, it was
Obviously, that resonated with the crowd, and people really enjoyed.
People's choice. Yeah.
I'll say, I mean, you consider the amount of things that were there, the I gave you a business card. I only put business cards on like one hot rod, and that was it. So it obviously resonated with the schmuck like me who just built mostly Japanese stuff and race cars. So for anybody who's wondering, I think I put a business card on his thing too. He never got back to me. I think this is the model you're talking about, right? As far as the Chrysler 300 goes.
Yep, that's his name's Ryan Kaiser.
It went away again.
I
I really got to stop. I said they've edited something within the software, and now it's even more annoying to use in like real time. But let's put that back up there. There we go. Yeah, that's really cool. I saw him build that on Instagram. I need to just reach out to him about it because I threw a business card on that too because it's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Be
that as it may. Let's say, be that as it may, the crowd went wild for your stuff. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Lewis. How did you get started in this? And because everybody in these comments here gave me a ration of crap. Get Lewis on. He's this young prodigy, and made me think you're like 19 years old, but you're not. So
yeah, that's not the case. But I started when I was 5. My stepdad at the time saw the interest in cars and kind of just brought home. So testers made these 1/43rd scale, like they did like a 49 Merc that was black with flames. They did like a Viper, stuff like that. And I remember doing the 49 Merc, and from there he handed me it was a Viper kit, a skill level 2, when they were still just 1 through 3. And maybe a week into it, I got glue on the windshield, threw it out, grabbed the General Lee kit. So the General Lee kit was the first kit I actually finished. And by that point, we had moved from Maryland to Pennsylvania. Well, with where my stepdad worked at the time, he had met a guy who had a model collection. So meeting that guy, his name's George Johnson. He's in the Central Pennsylvania Model Car Club. Well, he offered to take me to the model club. So I went, I joined at the age of like 6 or 7.
Wow.
And this is where everything kind of took a turn, because I was completely content building the way that I was until I was surrounded by guys like Marcus Cruz and Bill Geary. Like I had to progress at that point, So funny enough, the first model club meeting I ever went to, being 6 or 7 years old, I walked over and picked up someone's Pro Mod 57 Chevy, and Cruz was the first one. And he's like, "Hey man, is that yours?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You can't be picking that stuff up." But yeah, so growing up around those guys, A, they were always there if I had questions, and B, it pushed me. I mean, I was 13 years old competing with adults because there was no junior class. So
right.
I jumped in with just kept going, and I remember the Mama show was one that I chased winning forever in the junior class, because that was the show that you would get, 20 junior entries. And the last year as a junior, I finally won. So I left. That was one of the last shows I went to before college too. So I left from there and kind of just put the hobby aside. Well, then I got out of college, started making decent money, and could buy all of the kits that I wanted growing up that I couldn't afford. and so about 3 years, I just bought kits nonstop. Well, then I jumped back into building, and I built it was an orange Duster with a vinyl top. That was my first build officially back. Well, I went to the Central Pennsylvania Model Car Club, and they do the monthly contests. So I took that and an old build that I had done and ended up winning first and second, which put me in like the first place for points. And they were like, "Well, congrats, you came back." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming for that win this year." And since then, it's been pretty much just back to building whatever I want, except for when I jump in the group builds, it kind of narrows it down. But yeah.
What do you typically enjoy building the most? What sort of genre do you gravitate towards?
So I'm really all over the place, but lowriders and muscle cars are kind of my thing. The pro street rod kind of deal, or street machine, I guess you would say. But
That's all this guy right here. Sean loves those pro streets.
yeah,
Pro touring. Excuse me. Pro touring.
I was really impressed. I saw a couple of some of the lowriders you'd built, and I was really impressed with the paint jobs.
Thanks.
Do you have a photo of his '60 Chevy? That's a really, really cool looking paint job and really cool build.
Thank you.
Wow.
I remember, kind of staring at this at N&L and kind of really just kind of checking out the. How did you achieve that effect on the roof? And
So I took what I did on like one-to-one scale motorcycles and lowriders. So once you find the center line on the top there, you can use different widths of tape to kind of measure out from the center to make everything symmetrical. Well, then if you lay out all of those silver stripes in a certain series so that you can backshade and everything as you on tape, you lay it all out, and then all of the designs are they're fingernail stencils from like nail salons.
Oh, okay.
You lay them down there over your silver base, blow some black through it real lightly, peel them back. You've got your pattern, and then you can come back with the candy blue or purple or whatever. And, however many coats you put on is how dark you're going to get. So you just work through different shades. And then as you're peeling back the silver stripes and all, you can go back and do your highlights on, where you want these lines to duck under and all that kind of stuff.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do decals and I do pretty much single color cars. That's cool to me. That's very, very cool.
I was gonna say, like, duh, Sean, it's that easy. Come on.
So it sounds like you spent a lot of time at nail salons too. Like when you're there and you're researching paint.
My wife always looks forward to when I need nail polish. She knows she gets a trip to the makeup store then.
No, I thought that was really cool. It looked like you used some kind of stencil, but I wasn't, I couldn't tell if that was like lace or some other, but I didn't realize they make stencils for nail salons. Maybe I need to spend more time.
So I did a 59 Impala before this one, and everything was like, I cut all the stuff out of tape and all, but with that fine of scale, I had a 0.3 needle in my airbrush, and you couldn't shade stuff accurately enough to where it was clean. So I started looking at other options, and like there's a company that makes like clean cut like stencils that's called Stick It Stencils. Actually, they're big on big scale stuff. But I think the smallest that those scales go down to is like a 1/16 of an inch, and I mean when you're working on that roof, it's not going to work.
Right. You'd have a big graphic.
Yeah.
And now are those stencils like adhesive? Like they have a little stickiness to them? Okay.
Yep. Very, very light adhesive to them. So you can lay them down. As long as you peel them off, like as soon as you spray it, it's fine. If you let it sit for a second, it kind of adheres to it, and you end up peeling your paint. But
now, is there something in the pearl here? Because like in this picture, that silver has a gold tint. Is this just lighting on this, or is there actually a little flip to it?
All lighting. It's that picture I believe was taken at the Mama show. That's in an old fire hall, so not the greatest lighting.
So there's one more picture of it in here in this stuff you gave me. Let me see. So I blanked out when you were genre. You said street machine and stuff like that. Yeah, so this would be good because this is a side shot. We've seen like two overheads. Here's something that's a little more side on, gives a little bit better view of the undercarriage and everything like that. So
Very
but
nice.
the street machine. We have a solution for that. So tell me about, as I sit here and struggle to get this thing to work, this Nova that you have here. This is quite the street machine. Actually, more of a pro stock.
So I don't know if you guys know about it, but the Cruise in Ocean City show down in Ocean City, Maryland, is a big hot rod show twice a year. And I saw a Nova down there that was very similar to that, and I've always loved vinyl tops. But I set out to build, pretty much a replica of that car, and I rushed it for Acme of 2022, and that was the product. That's the wheels came from a guy. He was in Ukraine. He's now in Germany, I believe. But the engine was from Iceman. Outside of that, that's box stock. I made the parachute, and I used Marcus Cruz's method for the vinyl top.
Yeah, that looks right.
Yeah, it looks very convincing.
I sold that car about 3 weeks after building it.
Oh, really?
Yep. I had a guy I respect a lot. Honestly, I did not like him when I met him the first time. He was very arrogant, in my opinion, but he kind of changed his tune towards some people. So he ended up wanting that. He wanted my Camaro, and I told him no. But he asked about that one, and I gave him a really good price on it, and he jumped on it. So I'm glad that it went to a good home instead of, I've had some of my cars ripped apart for slot car bodies. So,
Oh,
Yeah, it's a nice.
ooh,
Yeah, I really like this.
This is a 72, right? So based on the grill, right? It's a 72.
I like that. That's a cool style.
I think it's 70.
It might be the 70 kit.
Yeah, I think it's a 70.
Yeah, it might be.
Where did whose wheels are those? I really like those wheels.
That is so that's Jay's like resin wheels or something on eBay, but then that's the kit hubcaps, because the ones he sends are way too small for the car. Okay. So I hit hubcaps and they worked flawless on it. Yep.
And what did you do to the chassis?
That was
to get that low.
That was an Iceman. That was an Iceman chassis. The bed floor, if you cut it, like if you assemble the bed floor on the sides and all, and you cut just the top posts that stick out, it raises right up in place, like flawless. So I just had to cut out like in the square hole in that truck for the frame rails to come up and through, and you see the rear suspension and everything. And then the Iceman chassis just needed little studs put on it so that everything would sit where it was supposed to. But then on that kit, I also took and cut out the wheel wells in the engine bay and modified them so that the wheels would tuck up like they were supposed to. And that had a Coyote engine in it also.
Yeah, I really like this one. I like how you chose to go with a white trim on the grill and sort of a
color wise, it's really appealing.
Yeah, very cool.
I sold that one too.
You sold it too?
I did. Yep.
You got to keep some of these builds, Lewis.
Yeah, that's the 59 lowrider that I was saying that the hand cut stuff just didn't work right. But
okay,
the car did really good though. won
Maybe his phone's dying.
just about everything up until Acme of 2022.
Wow.
At least all the shows I go to, the Timber Show, the Mama's Club, all that.
So here's a fun one. It's a Studebaker Lark.
Is that an original kit?
It looks like a Johan kit.
Oh yeah, that's
It is? Okay.
the Johan Snap Tight kit. Yeah, it's. I mean, as basic as it got. I built it and then gave it to my granddad actually because he's the one that got me into Studebakers.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, this one I really liked a lot. I thought this one was super cool when I saw a photo of it.
So that's the orange
That is the
duster you
one-
were talking about?
Yep, that's the one I got back into modeling with. Yep, that's
Now, what,
I would like to claim that this is unfair to be the first model back in the building.
what was your inspiration to build this one?
honestly, I was just at Hobby Lobby and I saw the duster and I'm like, well, at that point I was big into racing. I was with a race team locally that ran X275, so I found those. That was the same guy in Ukraine with those wheels, so I found those and I was like, well, that fits exactly what I need. So from there, I started working on the vinyl top, and when I went to go spray the color of the car, it kind of like hazed the body pretty bad. So I threw it
Ooh.
like just off to the side. Sit for a month or so. I came back and wet sanded it and hit it again with the color. So I shoot off the back, and then I ended up gluing the hood shut because I never ended up finishing the engine that was in it. It was a twin turbo LS in there,
Oh, nice.
but
Blasphemy. but
it was a
nice.
big thing of just trying a lot of stuff that growing up I thought there was no way I could ever attempt, and then jumping in head first at anything to do.
Nice.
And is the hood of that, did you build that yourself, or is that a resin piece or a 3D print, or?
Nope, that was my first attempt at making a cow hood. I'm a big fan of the Noco style hood on all the newer race cars, so yeah, that was my first hit at that and the wing actually.
Nice. I think the design of that really flows well with that body.
Thank you. Yeah, so fun story about that color. There's a paint company out of Virginia called Tamco, and when I was doing 1-to-1 scale cars, I was doing a lot of their product. Actually, there's I think 3 cars that I did on their website still, but that color was like sent out to only certain people as like a tester. And I originally wanted that car like a pearl yellow, but I couldn't find any yellows that fit the bill correctly with like the size of the metal and all. So I tested that color and I'm like, yeah, that'll do.
So, Lewis, you told the story before we got started, and I asked, where did you learn how to paint so well? Please tell our 33 people who are watching the show.
I did 1-to-1 scale paint for 10 years. So, from high school, I was just doing auto body, went to college. And while I was in college, got a job doing auto body, but you had to do the whole car from start to finish. So car would come in, hit, you'd have to tear it apart, write the supplement to make sure that all the parts got delivered, do the body work, prime it, paint it, and buff it if you needed to. So it was kind of an all-in-one deal. And from there, it just kind of grew on. I left that shop, which honestly was a low-quality shop, went to a very high-end shop, worked on like Adam Levine's Ferrari and stuff like that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Um, when I quit doing body work and paint as a living, I got a call from a friend to go just help him at his shop, and that kind of led into like the metal flake lowriders and custom painted motorcycles and stuff like that. But from there, it's it translates pretty easily to models as long as you find a primer that will not mess the plastic up and will withstand the urethane that you're getting ready to put on it.
What's your favorite primer to use?
I like the U-Pole primer. It's an automotive primer, but it's like $110 for a gallon kit, which will last, forever. But
Right.
you got to be a little careful with it because of how thick it is. It will hide detail very quickly.
Okay. So, is that mostly what you paint with? Is automotive grade lacquers and base?
Yeah, pretty much. Very rarely do I use Tamiya primers. It's almost strictly U-Pole. But
Okay.
for base coat, I'll use just about anything. Nail polish, I like Splash a lot. Tropical Glitz, Tamco, House of Color. Really anything that I can get the desired color, I will at least attempt to use it.
Okay.
Short of like Createx, so you're not going to see me put waterborne paint down just because I'm afraid to tape on top of it.
Okay. Yeah, there was a couple episodes ago, somebody was talking about their Createx Clear and kind of piqued my interest. But I've been using 2K. I started using Omni probably 20 years ago. And just 2K to me is all just 2K. It really, there's not a lot of difference in clears, and everybody, what clear do you use? It doesn't matter. Just learn how to shoot it.
Yeah, for models, it really doesn't matter as long as you don't get like that yellow tinge to it. But
Right.
You start talking real cars, you've got different UV protections and all. Again, you're not going to leave your car sitting out in the sun for a week,
Right.
So as far as that goes, unless I'm doing like my lowriders, they actually get a pretty expensive clear on them just because I have to bury all those paint lines and make sure.
Right.
But other than that, most of my cars get U-Pole clear, which is, I think it's like $110 a kit for a gallon.
Okay.
So
You
it
just buy a
sprays
couple
nice, it
things
levels
of
nice.
you just buy a couple things of hardener over time, or
Usually you can make the hardener last. I keep all my stuff in my basement, so it's not like it sees extreme temperature changes or anything.
okay.
So you last for a while.
So yeah, so I've always had problems with hardener, and it never lasts for more than a year. You know,
Okay.
um, I suppose once you open it and get it to some air in it, do you throw anything in the bottle to displace the air? I have a friend that throws marbles in his.
No, I never have. I guess it could help. The only issue I ever had was I wasn't wiping the tip of the bottle off, so it ended up
Oh,
building up, kind of locking the cap on. So at
yeah.
that point, to use it that time, I just snapped it off, used what I needed, and then ordered another hardener. But
Okay.
other than that, I haven't really had a problem.
What's your thought on reducer versus thinner?
I will always choose reducer over thinner. The
Okay.
thin adds as long as you don't need to thin it too much, the thinner is going to add more heat to what you're spraying pretty much. So the reducer, you're not
Oh,
chance of hazing and stuff like that. You could run into a problem if you sprayed over a decal, but realistically, thinner is more aggressive in every aspect.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
Thinner, realistically, I only use it for cleaning my airbrush or like a final wipe down on a resin body or something. But
I'll be darned. Okay. I love Mr. Hobby leveling thinner. That stuff is like unicorn tears to me. But I've had a bottle of reducer. I just never thought of mixing that in with any paints.
yeah,
Should
so
I?
you can. The thing I like about reducers is you can get it in multiple speeds, depending on what the temperature is and all that you're spraying in. So like
Okay.
thinner, I can throw in a fast hardener or a fast reducer, and it's going to flash quickly so I can keep going.
Okay.
You know, summertime I can slow it down and really give the paint time to lay out smooth. You know, so it really just, I feel it gives you a lot more control.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've been using the leveling thinner since it came out, and I thin everything with it. To me, acrylics, I'll throw some Mr. Hobby leveling thinner in it and shoot it as fine can be. But I know that it degrades the base quite a bit. And so, yeah, I'd like to play with some reducer.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
I can get a better base out of it.
when it comes to like the Tamiya lacquers and stuff, I will just use lacquer thinner. I feel there's not really a better way to cut it. But you do run a chance of it getting hazy if like the humidity is up and stuff like that. So
Right. I'm in Ohio, so it does get humid here.
yeah, I went to school in Ohio, Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah, it's where I'm near.
Okay.
Not to interrupt, but hey, it's Guy from Victoria, Australia. Look, we have international viewers tonight.
Sorry, guys, I got a little geeked out on the automotive paint there. Let's talk about this this Nissan.
No, that was good stuff. I mean, as somebody who foray of 2K, you know,
Right.
it's good to hear.
Tell us about this Nissan.
The 300. Tell me about the Z32 here.
So that was there's a builder that I respect a lot. His name's Chris Collar. I'm sure you guys probably saw his Dodge Hellcat at NNL East, the blue one.
Yep.
So
Yep,
he did that, and growing up, he was one of the guys that I looked up to, and we agreed that we each would give the other a kit to build, and when they were done, we would swap them. Well, he gave me that kit, so I ordered the Iceman 2JZ for it. I ordered Zoom on wheels and seats for it, and then I custom made the harness bar that you see back there. But when the car was done, the first shot I took it to, it ended up being photographed by Model Cars Magazine. So I went to Chris. I'm like, hey, I've never had a car in Model Cars Magazine. So if this makes it, like, I can't give it up. Like, I'll build you something else. It did end up making it. That and my Vega made it in the same issue. And I still have that one. So that one won't
keep that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's got a fun story behind it. That so I'm part of the Central Pennsylvania Model Car Club, and we were coming up on our show last September, and I had nothing new. Like, I had hit like a stall, didn't really feel like doing anything. Well, the guy that I sold my Blue Nova to made me a bet that I couldn't get a car done. It was the Monday before the show. So I grabbed this kit. It was completely unstarted. And by Saturday morning, I was finishing it up on my way to the show.
Wow.
So that thing is completely box stock except for the hood and the engine. The hood was from Lexus on eBay, and then the engine was. But the paint was tropical glitz with U-Pole clear over it, and I mean, it really doesn't get any more basic than that.
It's beautiful, though.
Thank you.
I like it. I think the audio cut out, but you said the engine looks like it's got a Hellcat motor in it. Is that 3D printed?
Yeah, that's a Iceman engine, and then a Lexus hood.
Nice.
Joel must love you, man. You talk a lot about Iceman.
So I built the funny story, the Chevy trophy truck that he did.
Yeah, I saw that too. The yellow one, James.
Yep. So I got a message on Instagram, and the only talking that I'd done with him before was like, hey, I'm having an issue with this, or something's going on.
Right.
Well, he messaged me and just said, hey. I'm like, all right, he's been hacked. I'm gonna have to message him on Facebook and let him know. And in the meantime, I'm gonna mess with this guy. Well, the next message was, "Are you still building?" And I'm like, all right, maybe it is him. Well, the conversation progressed, and he ended up asking me to build the box art for that. So that was the box art truck, and since then, me and him have developed quite a good friendship. My Model A is actually on his website for the engine now too. So
Cool. I like Joel. I was living in Arizona for a couple of years, and when the Model Mafia started up, and I swear, like the month after I left Arizona, Joel started coming to the Mafia meetings. So I really kind of just missed out on meeting him in person. But
yeah,
I did the Morgan. I competed with three other guys for the Morgan box art. I got beat by Chuck's Hobby Spot for the box art.
as I remember when you guys were doing that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, your trophy truck was really neat. I think James and I were both kind of looking at it at the N&L, and I was really regretting not getting a hold of one of those kits when I saw them. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's a kit he's ever going to bring back. Not from what he's telling me, anyway. But
I have the files, Sean. I'll print you the chassis. That's what you want. It's a chassis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll print
it's
you
really
one.
nice. And then you can just use pins to hold it together, so it goes together flawless.
Okay.
This Vago is really cool too.
Yeah, that's Frank's favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was Frank actually when I was talking to him about it. I wish I would have, because his dart is honestly the reason that I wanted to do a mod top on a car. But that was the same guy, Chris, that was supposed to get my
that guy, huh? Okay.
Yep. That he wanted that, and we had worked out a trade deal because I hated that car when I first finished it, and it was photographed for Model Cars Magazine the same time as the 300. So when they both made it, it was, again, couldn't get rid of it. And, that's one of those everyone loves, and it's honestly, it's nothing special. It's slicks decals that are cleared over with some it's candy red, but the engine is out of the 69 Nova Revell kit. The intake is resin, the carbs are resin, the MSD is resin, and then the valve covers were just parts box stuff that I had sitting around. There's really, it's not a super special kit or any kind of build in any way. It's just people like it.
Yeah, it's photogenic for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just got a lot of eye appeal. It just sort of pops, especially like the paint color when you see it in person, and the depth of the color, and just the whole aesthetic of it. It just got a really cool look to it.
Thank you.
Sometimes you don't have to be like doing something crazy to just like, it's just the perfect
blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, that was Luca's group Porsche build last year. I jumped in, and that was the result. It's that is Texas 3D wide body kit, and then the wheels were. We have a 3D printer that is in my Pennsylvania club, and he designed those wheels. Luckily, I got one more set, but he lost the file for them. But the custom decals on the side to match the interior and wheel faces are actually nail polish paint also.
Oh, okay. So it's like a green, huh?
Yeah, it's like a tealy green, but it came out pretty good. That one, again, I wasn't happy with when I was finished, and I had a friend who really had never showed an interest in my models or anything, and then he saw that. He's like, "All right, man, how much?" I'm like, "Dude, you can just have it. Like, get it away from me."
No, I think this one's really cool too. You definitely have you're sort of a man after my own heart. You build like in all the different genres, just like all over the place.
It's whatever I get an itch for, man, and it it usually spirals out of control pretty quick. And there's my favorite.
So we always ask, what's your favorite build? So this is Lewis's favorite.
Yep.
So that's the 24 scale kit, right?
Yes. Yeah. It
Okay.
that started as a contest. It was on Instagram. It was, I forget the two group pages, but it was import versus domestic. And obviously I chose the domestic side, and that is probably my favorite kit of all time. You know, I built it probably 10 times growing up. The only memory I have of building a kit with my stepdad is I built that while he built the Days of Thunder Hardy's car right next to me. So, you know, that kit holds a spot in my heart. That's why I have, I think, 6 of them behind me right now. But I made the hood on that one. The wheels are from Texas 3D. The roll bar I modified. I mean, you can't see all that, but I modified that to make it like a 6-point roll bar instead of the 2-point that it comes with.
Right.
It's got a chute off the back with a mount that I made, and then a Texas 3D engine in there. It's the high rise. I think it's the LS in it. But that was, I think I've had 3 or 4 of those actual late 70s second gens. And I always said if I own another one, that's going to be the final result when I'm done.
Tell us about the paintwork, please.
So the paint was Admiral Blue from Splash. And I think it was 4 coats of U-Pole clear, because that was the first model I ever attempted to polish. So I wanted to make sure I had enough to really go at, and it turned out awesome. That's, like I said, it's my favorite build that I've done.
Yeah, it's
I
very
love
cool.
it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
So you built across the spectrum there. So what's your favorite manufacturer? Not like brand of car, but like kit manufacturer.
So for ease of build, it's definitely going to be Revell. With me being a muscle car leaning guy, Revell's kits are hard to argue. Granted, a lot of them are way cartoony, but you know, you can usually build a pretty nice car out of them. But it would be nice to see like the MPC mid 70s Camaros come back and stuff like that. You know, I have those kits, but I don't want to mess with them. You know?
Yeah.
So
you almost have to kit bash them with the 70 and a half
yeah,
to get a better chassis and stuff.
Yep. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it would just be Revell, just because the content that they put out is right up my alley.
Nice.
Frank here with favorite aspect of Lewis's paintwork is this clear has thin depth. It's a deep, rich luster that doesn't look like it was dipped in gloss. Have to agree with that. All the finish is very nice.
Yeah.
But then he's a professional car painter, Frank. What do you expect?
If the fire do a good job.
So we talked about this a little bit before the show, so you have a chance to think about it. If you had the time, effort, whatever, to build your life project, as it were, do you have any idea what that would end up being as far as like what a build, a series of them, whatever that might be?
My favorite car of all time has always been the 48 Tucker Torpedo. I love that car. Always have. The story behind it's awesome. And the resin kit has just been released. That is, I mean, I have one back there. It's phenomenal. But if I had unlimited funds, that kit would have opening doors. It would have an engine. It would have everything. But that would be the one.
That'd be a cool project. I'd like to see
that resin kit's it's 9/10 of the way there, though. I mean, as far as other than not having the engine and not having the doors open, that's one heck of a resin kit.
Yeah, it's way better than any other option you've ever had. Like I think Model House did one, and the proportions just weren't right. So, I mean, when they do pop up on eBay, they're $140, $150. When for $200 you can get this one that's way nicer. You
Yeah.
know,
So that's a new company, Red something, right?
I-
Red Panda.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you know if they're going to make anything
awesome.
else?
Huh?
Do you know if they're going to make anything else?
So I've talked to the owner about some ideas. The next stuff he's going to put out is going to be trans kits, just because he said that the whole kit as a whole takes way too long to produce and be profitable to keep it going.
Right.
So he's going to put out some trans kits, and then as far as like the next full kit, I'm willing to bet it's going to be along the lines of like a Studebaker Hawk or a Packard Hawk.
Okay.
I'm going to ride that line, I think, but I don't know for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like James has the ear of the decal people, and I got the ear of a decal guy, and Sean's got the ear of Mobius. So yeah, it's neat to sort of drive the future of modeling, you know,
Yeah.
or be an influence in it.
Yeah, it's apparently people talk about me way more than they should, but
No, you deserve it, dude. You're doing good work.
well, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Like I said to you on our messages, what does it feel like to, carry the weight of the proof that the hobby isn't dying?
Look, you got to remember, there's still younger guys out there that are definitely better than me. Dylan from NYS he's phenomenal. He really is.
Yes.
And then there's always going to be younger guys that kind of fly under the radar just because, like, I know at a show I'm really bad at it, like introducing myself to people that I see. I've always been a quiet guy, so for me to introduce myself the chances are slim to none.
Right.
There was a guy at NNL East that I competed with my Camaro online, and he brought his Supra that he had competed with, and we had talked on Instagram about meeting up and taking pictures and all. Well, it wasn't until the last half hour that we finally got together. So it's there's definitely a younger generation coming in. It's just getting them to stick with it as, whether they want to build Gundam or, aircraft or whatever. It's just getting them to stick with it.
Yeah. There's a lot more distractions.
Yeah.
For this age than what I had. Well, I didn't start until I was 28 anyways, but you guys, Sean, James, you guys started as kids.
Yep. Yeah. Lewis,
I think
I was going to ask, if somebody wanted to see more of your models, do you have an Instagram or a Facebook page? How would they?
Yep. So where my name is, I put my Instagram right behind it. It's lowercase LEW with a number 1 and then lowercase SHICKS. That's pretty much where I post. Other than that, you'll find me on like Luca's and stuff like that. I really don't post too much just because, again, I don't feel that my work is outstanding by any means. You'll honestly, more times than not, you kind of find me stirring the pot when people irritate me with stuff they say. So there's a lot of times I comment and I'm like, oh, that might be a 3-day ban or a 24-hour ban.
Well, I think that one of the things with if you will, the younger builders is the fact that Instagram is where it seems like a large chunk of the younger builders hang out. And for whatever reason, us old farts don't use Instagram for anything. So like those two things don't really mesh. And I could totally understand, like, because Facebook's a cesspool and forums are even worse. And like Instagram's a nice, relatively calm, quiet place where you can just show your work. You're usually not going to get a whole lot of people being douche nozzles to clean that up as best as I can. But and since the old folks don't go to Instagram because it's just pictures, like you're missing out on a whole like subsection of the hobby. You know,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of really talented younger guys on Instagram that don't get any attention because, well, they're over there on that weird camera platform thingy, and I don't use that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I participate in both. I have a site on both, and it's a different demographic, you know,
Yep.
and the interests will be different. Like I'll get, you know, a lot of response, you know, maybe to a certain genre and model on Facebook where I won't get much response to it on Instagram and vice versa. And I enjoy actually looking at both sites because I'll just see different things. Like to your point, I'm going to see maybe a lot more modern, maybe a lot more import stuff, the things that I think younger people want to build. And they'll, you know, they're doing different techniques and maybe trying new materials and new stuff that I didn't even know existed, you know. But on Facebook, you'll see, you know, a lot of the traditional stuff and, you know, some of the good old fashioned techniques that work great. And so it's worth it to participate in both, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so on the screen here would be said Tucker.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Sean has seen this. I know I showed it to Tester.
Yeah, I since you guys shared it with me, I was unaware of it, and that kit looks awesome.
That
Looks
is
super cool.
a phenomenal.
Let's just scroll through the pictures here.
I want to see Lewis build it.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to get my hands on a second one before I build the first one.
What color would you do it in?
So that's a hard one because growing up, Waltz Blue was always my favorite, which was like the iconic Tucker color, right?
Yeah.
But when Rob Ida did the green one, I think it was Tucker 42. That green's gorgeous on it. The curves of the car highlight the green so well. So it would be blue or green, but finding the correct mix for the color is not easy at all. I've talked to Tucker's great grandson personally, and they don't even have accurate records. So
I appreciate the research.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he's relatively local. He's they're out of PA, so he was at the York NSRA show last year, and so I talked to him for probably about 20 minutes, and then, you know, he moved on his way. His hot rod was in the show and all that, so.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question for you, Lewis. If you were going to do the Tucker, would you put a 2K clear on it, or would you sort of mute it a little bit so that it's not so ultra glossy?
Nope. I would 2K it. Just for the simple fact that I would want to build the highest quality that I could. Like, I get that in 48, you know, it was lacquer clear, but if you were to restore that car today, it would all be 2K.
Right.
You know, the car would be polished to an ultra gloss finish, all that, and it would go on to, you know, the contour shows and all that.
Right.
So that would be on par with where I would head with it.
Okay. I know some people are so purist about, oh, you know, the cars weren't that shiny back then, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they weren't, but this is your interpretation of that vehicle. And
right.
I mean, you know me, I'll go crawl up a hill and die on it about clear coating over decals on race cars, but
yeah,
at the same time, you have to worry about your decals coming back off and everything else. But you brought it up, so I'm gonna ask you this question because it's always a fun one. Try to narrow it down to one thing. What's your pet peeve about social media?
My pet peeve
in modeling, not just in general, because we could go off on a whole other tangent about that.
I think my pet peeve, other than people just giving bad advice that they don't have business giving, really is just people complaining about round 2 putting out these kits. You know, it's that that's coming up now that I can't afford an original Grumpy's Vega. I can't afford an original 64 Malibu. But with them coming back out, I can build as many as I want, and I don't worry about destroying an original kit. I don't worry about, you know, $150 price tag. So I personally would like to see them come back out with the entire Pro Stock series, but
yeah,
we'll see. That's usually when I feel I'm going to get a ban is I jump on someone about that. And, this guy might be 70 years old with 4 of them in his basement and say, oh, I'll never pay that. But back then you paid it. I don't get the chance to buy that kit for $3,
Right.
So that's probably the big one for me anyway.
I have a question for you, Lewis.
Yep.
I know you're great at paint jobs. What's the one modeling or aspect of modeling that you think you struggle with most?
Interior.
I'm sorry?
Interiors.
Interiors.
Yep. That's the colors are always off in my opinion, and then just the textures that you try to capture with the paint. Trying to capture leather to a carpet, and there's so much stuff going on there. Now, granted, I'm not going to see it all, but to me, it just bugs me if everything's not falling into place like I want it to. So interiors are definitely where I feel I struggle.
What are you going to do about it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
I'm just going to build all race cars, so I just paint the interior tin silver and be done.
Black.
So one of the things that was on a list of questions that Sean had come up with earlier, and it's one that I think we all liked when we saw this list, was tell us what your biggest modeling disaster was.
Oh boy.
He's that good. He has no disasters. All right, moving on.
No, I'm trying to think. It probably was that red Impala that I did. Those 59 and 60 Impalas don't want to fit together. The final assembly is horrible.
Yeah.
The interior doesn't fit up into it correctly. You have to shave the dash, and then the chassis doesn't fit up in there after that. So you have to shave the bottom of the interior pan. And the first time I went to assemble it, I wrapped tape around it and shot thin CA glue down the seam of the rocker. Well, it shot up under, ran down the door. It was horrible. But luckily I was able to just repaint the one side and fix it. But
You got lucky there.
Very lucky. That thing would have been wall art so fast, it's not even funny.
You try to test, build and fit things together before you, or do you just put it all together at the end and hope for the best?
Depends on the kit. So that blue 60 Impala, I test fit that probably 50 times. But when it came time for final assembly, that hood and trunk will not close. There is nothing that I could do to get that to close. I tried taking a file up in there and shaving it, and I'm like, I'm going to destroy the paint job if I keep going. So you'll never see that hood and trunk closed.
Fair enough.
Let's say, all right, Lewis. So this was something that you posted. It was in our comment section after we went off live last time.
Yeah.
Explain how you do your masking for your windows.
So
you suggested a tape.
Yes.
We were all like, "What doesn't come in a tiny enough size?" And we went into the whole thing of whether you were just basically reverse masking, aka mask over, and then cut out the negative space. So, how do you do that?
So
how do you go about it?
Exactly like you said. I have that tape in every size they offer it in. So I'll take usually 1 inch, lay it over the side windows, press it down with a Q-tip so that I can see exactly where I need to cut, and then I'll cut it out, burnish it back down, and then once I have that done to all 4 windows or the body trim, whatever I'm doing, I'll take the bigger tape and lay it over everything. That way I risk no overspray at all. And that tape is so low tack. I've put it right over a base coat that was sprayed, 20 minutes ago, and it has never peeled paint back on me. So
what tape is this again?
It's FPS UTG tape. So it's a little, but it lasts, forever. I think I've had 3 rolls the whole time that I've been back to building.
You'll have to put a link in the description of the video, please. got my interest.
The best place to buy it is, at least in my opinion, is Paint Huffer Metal Flake. And if you go to their tapes, I believe it's the last one that they offer. It's like the last two, but it should be on there. FBS tape is pretty much all I use, except for I have Tamiya for, little stuff, but test fitting, stuff like that. Outside of that, I use the FBS red vinyl for all the lowrider stuff, and then that UTG tape because I like that low tackiness. If I don't have to risk that paint peeling back, I'm not going to.
Okay. Very cool.
It would be. We can get this to work real quick. This stuff right here.
Yep, that's it.
All right.
Let's say it's $15, but you're getting 55 yards of it, so you can mask off half of a football field. I'm thinking that'll last for a minute or two, not counting the end zones. But so you just using a brand new blade on that to get your edges and stuff.
Yep.
So I have so many things that are like that, where like the space in between the mask on the windshield side of the A-pillar and the actual door side of the A-pillar is so narrow that like reverse masking it seems like the easiest way to go about it without making a huge mess.
Yeah, it's big for me on like those the LX Fox bodies because I paint slot car bodies too. So, if I can knock them out as fast as possible, that's all the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys all paint the window trim by masking it and like spraying it? Does anybody use a brush? I brush paint that stuff.
Sean.
Hey, I mean, whatever works for you.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I can just do it, relatively pull straight line. Either that or I use Sharpies. That seems to work well too.
I can't use a paintbrush. I just can't. I never learned how to use a paintbrush. Seriously. I've always masked and airbrushed.
Yes, I used toothpicks growing up, but that was usually pretty messy.
I'll say I've used the Sharpies on the inside window trim, but I find that especially on clear, you can see that purple tint because Sharpies are black, right? Yeah, so.
Right.
Yeah, I would use it for more of the rubber trim around the inside of like the window frame or something like that. Wouldn't use it on it, but yeah, that's good. I mean, everybody, whatever works, right? It doesn't really, but it's always interesting to see. I'm like, oh, you guys do it that way. Oh, I hadn't even considered doing it that way. But yeah, it's cool.
Very cool.
All right, gentlemen, I believe we are at the 2-hour mark here.
Thank you, Lewis, so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was great meeting you and hearing about your cars.
Thanks, man.
I'll pick your brain about paint.
Great time.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your tips.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. And that wasn't nearly as bad as you thought it was. Right?
Yep.
All right, guys, boys, girls, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back in another 2 weeks with Michael North from Northwind Customs as our guest, where I will sit here very quietly while James and Mike talk about 3D printing for 2 hours. And that'll be that. That'll be what that one is. If you want to go ahead and pre-plan the nap or the very intense interest, depending on how you feel about that. So, anyway, guys, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Peace, guys.
See ya.